Hey, welcome into the Really Randumb podcast. I'm Colton Pettyjohn, and that's Drew Bolden.
Hey, guys.
You may have noticed that, the start to the episode is a little different. We didn't quite have an intro. We just kind of jumped straight into it, and we're not acting crazy. We may still say a couple jokes here and there.
Yeah, well, that's how we do it.
But for the most part, we wanted to stop down and have a serious conversation about some of the stuff that's going on in the world and some of the stuff that we deal with on a day-to-day basis that we don't really share to everyone all the time. But we feel like maybe it's important to tell our stories and things that we're going through because maybe it'll help you out or at least help spark a conversation. If you're going through something, maybe you need help.
Yeah, it kind of humanizes us a little bit because, we're kind of loud and crazy. Well, I'm kind of loud and a crazy character, but
I'm perfect always.
There's no debate. So there's conversations that you and I have off camera because I don't know if you guys know this, but we live together. We've been best friends for too long. There's a lot of times where really, really nice conversations, deep conversations are serious ones. Because most of the time we're being silly and goofy and crazy and, trying to make people laugh. But we have talked about doing this for a while, and I think we've talked about it a couple episodes back. But this is what we're going to be calling the serious episode because we want to air out our feelings, not only our personal feelings, but things that have been going on in the media and stuff like that. Yeah. And we just think that I'm just going to go straight into it, as white men, these are things that we need to say and we need to get off of our chest because if we don't, then we want to say this because we want you guys to kind of know our feelings about the situation. I know I do. I'm pretty sure I'm speaking for you as well, but we want to address the things because we feel like if we don't, then it'll make us look awful as awful people. And also we have wanted to as well.
Yeah, and it's not just solely on the appearance of looking bad, but
I guess that sounded bad. That's not what all I want to do, but we just feel the need to say this.
Yeah, so I've read several posts that say in times like this, sometimes not saying anything at all is worse than the opposite, or worse of saying something that is racially offensive or whatever, because you're sitting in silence while something's going on, and you're just sitting back saying, doesn't affect me.
Yep.
It's not my life that's changing, or it's not my life that's being affected. And I know I really don't enjoy talking about certain things that are so polarizing amongst even my friends, but just with people in general, because I'm such a people pleaser, and I don't want to say something to ruffle some feathers or piss anyone off. I want to get along with everyone.
You like to keep the peace. You've always been that way.
But this is one thing that, and I don't set out again to ruffle feathers, but I feel like this is something that needs to be said. And I feel like we need to talk about it, like you said, as white men. One of the things that I've thought about a bunch, and I have thought about reaching out to friends, and I have reached out to friends, or even posting on Instagram or whatever, is as a white male, what can I do? I want to help. I want to be able to be a part of the solution, because whether or not you want to agree or believe it, we talked about this several episodes back when we briefly hit on some of the stuff that was going on.
The George Floyd incident, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had talked about, there's clearly, there's still a ton of racism in the world and in America, and you don't have to, I'm not calling. What's crazy is I think white people.
I think you're trying so hard to not make anyone mad that you're taking the time to think of what you want to say.
But I just think white people sometimes, as soon as we start talking about Black Lives Matter, we then take offense to it and say, what about me?
Yeah.
What about my life? Does it not matter?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, hey, white people, right now, it's not about you.
Yeah.
Let's join up in arms with our brothers, our black brothers and sisters, and let's help them out, because clearly this is an epidemic. And, going straight into it, police brutality on black males, or just black people in general, is a problem. It's an issue. And one of the things we talked about a little bit before, and then you told me to stop, because you're like, no, let's talk about this on the podcast.
Yeah, like, we talk about stuff we want to talk about on episodes, and we were getting heavily into it, and I was like, man, I think we should make this an episode, and so here we are. And so go into it.
So we discussed a little bit about the off camera about the phrase "Blue Lives Matter."
Yes.
And
can I before we go into this, we have very close friends near and dear to our hearts who are police officers.
We love them.
And we absolutely love them. And the only thing I will say about it before you go into anything, which I hope I don't step on your toes, is I just want them to be safe. I want them to be smart. I want them to use their heads in the correct way. I don't want them to ever feel like they are going to lose me as a friend because they are a police officer. I don't want that. I love you guys, and I do. But it is what has happened recently, and I know because of the media, and you hear more about it and all this stuff. But I love you guys. This is just my opinion on this.
It just stinks, because when it boils down to this kind of stuff, it's like you have to either choose one side or the other.
Right. And
you're either pro-cop or pro-Black Lives Matter.
Right.
It's like, no, it doesn't have to be that way. So we were talking about Blue Lives Matter, and it's kind of a silly saying, because Black Lives Matter is you were born black and your life matters, of course. Blue Lives Matter, there aren't, so I mean, we've heard this from other people, but there aren't blue people.
Yeah, you're not born blue. That is a job that
it's your occupation.
You're right. That is a job that you took.
Yeah.
Right?
So you chose to be a police officer, and I am so thankful for all the people that have chosen to be police officers. I'm so thankful for the people that have chosen to go into the armed forces to keep us free. I'm very, very thankful for all that. But you yourself chose to do a very dangerous job, and I'm thankful and appreciative of that. That being said, I was thinking about this a little bit, and I likened it to, so it's not a blanket statement that police suck,
right?
Or police, there's everyone that's a police officer brutalizes and beat up and kills black people. That is not true. Yeah. And it is a very small minority of the overall group of police officers, I believe.
There are so many good people who are police officers. So many
great. We have, like you said, we have great friends that are police officers. And I even have family members that are police officers, and I love them. To say that all police officers are bad people is saying, like, and I liken this to my former job, saying that all teachers have affairs with their students.
Right.
All teachers are preying on students and want to have sex with a student. That is, I know it's a lot of times it's in the news about whether it's a girl or a guy having a relationship with a student or something like that. But that's a very, very small section of that occupation.
Yeah, it just so happens that they're teachers, and they are, well, first of all, they're around these kids all the time. I mean, I know that's not kind of what we're going into, but there's just a small percentage, and especially with, honestly, you can blame the media way more than that, but for all of this, but I'll go after you. Go ahead.
With that being said, just because it's a small minority doesn't mean that it shouldn't be addressed at all.
Right.
So it should be addressed. When teachers go back to school every year, it probably should be a course or something. It should be addressed in some way of, hey, there are problems with teachers, having relationships
Affairs.
that are inappropriate with students.
Yeah.
And this needs to be addressed. It's unacceptable. We'll give you the proper training if you're put in a situation where a student is coming on to you. If you're in a situation like that, we want to give you the tools to make sure that you can navigate through these waters correctly. We know that 99% of you will not have a problem with that, but this needs to still be addressed, even though it's a small minority. Same thing with the police officers. And not everyone, and majority of the police officers are good people, and they're not going to do those things like shooting an unarmed black man. But it still needs to be addressed. It still needs to be talked about. If it's still happening, then we still have work to do. And we still need to adjust the training. We need to have a tougher process of becoming a police officer. I was talking to a friend the other day, and they were saying that in college, if a couple times there were people that were going after certain degrees, it was too difficult for them. So they said, I'll just do criminal justice. It's easy, and I'll probably just become a police officer.
Whoa.
And
what? Really?
Yeah.
Jeez.
And so, again, if you're a police officer, don't be upset at me saying, but I have heard that it's not extremely difficult in some areas. And I'm sure it's taxing in some other areas. I'm not saying it's a cakewalk, but
I have heard that from police officers. So I talked about it last episode that I used to work as a salesman at a police and fire uniform supply store or chain or outlet, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And and like you said, 99% of the people that I worked with, well, that's a little high, but I think it was like, most people with retail, it sucks, right? Everyone you deal with sucks sometimes. Yeah. I'll just go on and say the majority of the people that I worked with were great people. Yeah. They had great hearts, they had great minds, they were sharp, and they wanted to protect us, like literally anyone. Doesn't matter what your skin color is, whatever, how old you are, it doesn't matter, male, female. But there were some that I would overhear their conversations, and I'm like, how is this person a police officer?
Yeah.
And well, I mean, I'm just gonna come out and say it. There was you remember the shooting of the Dallas police officer? She went into the wrong apartment.
Yeah.
I actually helped her a few times at the store, and knowing her then, I didn't see a problem, but I only had like maybe a minute worth of like, hey, I need this done to my uniform. Can I have it done in 3 days? Whatever. Right. I don't know her on a personal level. Now, I'm not saying that right away if someone has like an ill heart or whatever, but that, I guess this is off topic, but because I'm going to be scatterbrained on this, but anyway, that was I'm not going to say that it wasn't far-fetched, or it was, but just seeing that it was her and someone that I had previous conversations with was very shocking.
Yeah.
And I know that I don't know the whole story on her. I remember reading it years ago, so I'm not going to try to slander her name or whatever. Maybe I should, I don't know, but I just remember that being very odd. And going back to the what I said of hearing police officers say that criminal justice was a cakewalk.
Yeah.
Out of the conversations that I had, and there were multiple, at least 10, 9 of them said it was very easy. And even the people they went through, is it called boot camp? Not boot camp, because that's like armed forces, but I guess it's just the training. What is it called? I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, but they said,
is it police academy or something?
Police academy. Yeah, that's what it is. They would talk about how there were people there that they could clearly see were unfit to be wearing a uniform, and they would pass. And that's very disheartening to hear. Am I using disheartening right? Big words for me, as you guys know, are tough for me to use. So I guess what I mean is it is upsetting to hear things like that. But
no, I think you're right.
Yeah.
And I think it just comes down to
accountability.
Accountability. I was just about to say that.
Yeah, because that's what I was thinking whenever you were talking about the teacher thing.
Yeah, it's just everyone who has a job is held accountable for doing their job and doing it correctly, or everyone should be.
Right.
So if you are, I don't know, if you're a celebrity and you're in the limelight, you have a microscope on you. So when something happens, it's out in broad daylight, and you're held accountable for your actions, whatever that may be. If you, again, not all police officers are bad people, but not all cashiers are bad cashiers. But every once in a while, you'll have a cashier that will cuss out a customer who comes by because they pissed them off of the way that they approached them, or
I get that though.
A cashier,
I completely get that, but
or a cashier that steals money, or something like that.
That's what I was thinking. Where you were going with that,
and they need to be held accountable. If they do something that they shouldn't be doing, then they need to be held accountable for it. One of the things I just don't understand why I have people in my life who, whether it's on Facebook or whatever, who try to, anytime there is a black person that is killed or beat up or whatever by a police officer, they're always trying to find reasons why it was like justified. They're always trying to find reasons why it was okay. Well, did you see his history? He formerly had a felon, and he had
a felony.
He was a felon, or formerly, he stole a pack of gum from a gas station.
I mean, you can always
17 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. You can always find something.
Yeah, but
to quote unquote justify something.
When something happens with, unfortunately, when something happens with a white person or something like that, there's not that magnifying glass of, well, what did they do to deserve this? Because walking with nothing in your hands or without a weapon or whatever, it's just not justified.
Right.
And if you are on the side of, well, stepping on toes here, but he went out into his car and he reached in for something. He could have been reaching for anything, so the cop shot him.
7 times.
7 times. I have watched numerous videos over the last several days of white people running at a police officer with a knife, or screaming at a police officer, threatening to kill them. And the police officer either backs up, or they run away, or they pull out the taser and they tase them. Or there was an instance where this guy was getting tased and he pulled the tasers out, and he started running at the cop, and the cop started running away, and then he ran over and got in the cop's car and then was trying to pull off.
Whoa.
And they never pulled the gun on him.
Was he white?
He was white.
Oh, Jesus.
And so there's got to be
accountability.
A level playing field.
Or a level playing field.
Yeah. And if it's, I'm not necessarily saying one way or the other, but if those black people deserve to get shot, then those white people in those videos need to be shot. That's just plain and simple. And I don't think that's the truth. I think there are ways to de-escalate situations where you don't have to use deadly force. There are ways. Hey, it's easier said than done, because I'm not in the situation, and I'm not in what I may feel is a life or death situation. But if we see it on one side with a white person, then it should be the same with a black person. And if it was a white lady that was walking to her car to grab and go and get something in her car, are they going to shoot her? Probably not.
No. How many times do you also, I don't know if they cover it on the news, but how many times do you hear about if a white lady is shot, isn't it always they're either shown as like crazy or something and whatever. I mean, okay, going back to what we were just talking about and him running to the car, or not running, he didn't he just, okay.
He was just walking to the car.
Were you there at the situation?
I was not.
I was not there. Were you guys there? No. We don't really know what happened other than what we've seen on video, right?
Yeah.
We saw, now instinctively or instantly when I saw, or I didn't watch the video, I can't see that stuff.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, and although, anyway, whatever. So the only thing we can judge on is the videos we've seen and word of mouth. Now, you guys all know the game Telephone, right? How many times, if you whispered something in my ear and I whispered something in someone over here, they whispered it to that person, they whispered to that person, they whispered to that person. How many times is it 100% exactly right? It's never the same, right? So I guess we just can't really base. I mean, we can only, God, this is hard.
Yeah.
When I want to make jokes about immature things, I can do it all day long. But when it comes to being serious and I also don't want to piss people off. Although sometimes I do in a joking way. But like when it's serious and I don't want to piss anyone off, on intentionally, I guess. But
yeah, but I don't want to piss people off. But I also
is that cowardice of us? Is that cowardly?
It's
Maybe
kind of it's like I don't want to piss you off necessarily, but kind of screw off because my friends that are black, their lives are legitimately at stake, and their lives. I mean, I have friends that I work with and that I know that they're nervous. This stuff makes them afraid of, like, hey, when I walk outside, if I have an interaction with a police officer, if I handle it the right way, is everything going to be fine? I mean, George Floyd, again, we weren't there, so we don't know exactly what happened, but seemingly complied.
Yeah.
And yet, for almost 10 minutes, he had a police officer's knee on his neck. Now, I would hate, I want to stand up for my black brothers and sisters, and if they feel like their voice isn't getting heard, then I want to try to continue. And maybe if us as white people start speaking up and join together, then maybe something will happen.
Right. Well, like, you can take example like the NBA with them postponing their games, and there's even teams that are wanting to cancel the season, right? Is that still a thing?
Not anymore. Lakers and Clippers came together and were talking about canceling the remainder of the season, but they discussed it as a group, and the league has now they negotiated where now they're going to start advertising more of social justice, and they're doing things. They're opening up every single stadium. Every single NBA stadium is now going to be open up to be a voting area, so you can go and vote.
Okay, that's nice.
And I've never been really a huge voter, but that's really the best way to make change is vote people in office that you think will help your voice be heard.
Yeah. Is there anyone on the ballot that isn't white?
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, like, I don't know locally, and that's literally, we don't know. We don't keep up with that stuff.
Like, political stuff is not my strong suit, clearly.
And that's what's tough when it comes to this, having these kind of conversations, is we're not normally political. We try to stay away from these kind of things, but I don't feel like someone's life is political. I feel like it's just a common sense thing.
Some like an interest or whatever.
I just feel like it's it just doesn't make any sense why we're continuing to make excuses, or why we're trying to find. It's the same people over and over and over on my Facebook timelines that are, anytime something happens, anytime there's a police brutality or whatever it is, they always find a video of someone supporting the fact that it was justified, and well, so and so did enough to deserve to get shot. And you know, it's like, dude, what? Like,
what about the kid with the AR or the AK or whatever? He literally walked straight up to police. White kid walked straight up to police officers. Wasn't he like showing them?
Yeah. So
did he kill people with it?
So
how many?
Two people. So there was a white kid that walking around with a semi-automatic or an assault rifle or whatever it is. I don't know exactly what kind of gun it was, but he was walking around with it strapped around his chest, and he was just walking the streets. And apparently he wasn't even from that area.
Yeah.
But I guess he heard that there were protesting or whatever happening there, so he came there to basically be a vigilante, to basically be like, you know what? I'm going to stand up I'm going to make sure that you don't loot my favorite target that's there.
Is that
whatever.
What it was? Or I don't know. Yeah, we clearly off on this one, but
he was walking, and hey, probably not a smart idea to mess around with someone that's walking around with an assault rifle or weapon.
Sure.
So
and he got shot 7 times, correct?
He did not.
Oh, he didn't. Oh, wow, that's weird.
No,
I actually knew the answer, but like, you're not telling me that. Okay, so that right there pisses me off.
So first of all, fell to the ground.
Okay. Yeah.
Stumbling around, felt like his life was in danger, whatever. So he shot people around him. Not only did he shoot people around him, but then when people started running away, he continued to shoot.
Nice.
Then he's walking down the street towards police that are driving in armored vehicles and stuff like that, and he kind of like has his hand up, but then his hand goes back on his gun, and he's adjusting his gun, and then he's doing this, and he continues to walk, and police cars are driving past him. The guy and
cars, like multiple cars.
Yeah, multiple cars are driving past him, and he had his hand up. I think someone in the video said he shot and killed someone. I think he may have even himself said, I shot. And there's nothing happening. And he walks up to a car, and then eventually I think he kind of steps back, and I think that's when I turned off the video. I was like, but the guy is armed, and he knowingly shot multiple people. Yet police officers didn't shoot him.
They didn't do anything, right?
Yeah.
Did they ever detain him?
So I'm sure they detained him.
At some point?
Yeah, I think they detained him. But then a guy who is walking to his car at a slow pace, just walking to his car with several police officers there.
Yeah.
Dude, there's 2 or 3 police officers there. If you need to detain him for whatever reason it may be, if he's walking away if he's not complying, then arrest him.
Yeah, like
get on it. Like
what you were taught in the
academy. Don't just like let him walk. Hey, stop. And then he opens the door, gets in his car, and then boom. Also, it's hard to judge from a video like that, but that seemed relatively. I would feel like if I was in that situation, pulling the trigger would be one of the hardest things I would ever do, because I'd be like, no, I did. But it seemed like it was relatively
easy. I mean,
it was just, hey, this is a part of my job. This is what I was trained to do.
Yep.
Again,
7 times.
If that's what you're trained to do, the training
maybe that's the problem.
Needs to be adjusted.
Yeah.
Because that's ridiculous.
It's absolutely nuts. And I honestly, like, the more we talk about it, the more I'm like absolutely pissed off. This guy was running at cop cars with an AK, and they didn't think to be like, hey, that's probably, not something that we want on the streets, is a guy with an AK. And and I know these are movies, but how many times in movies, if anyone is in the street with an AK, how many times, if it's like rioting or looting, how many times have we seen cops go, put your weapon down, and doing what they can to detain and not open fire?
Yeah. And if it's being,
and this guy didn't have a gun. He was going to his car to get his family to safety. This is from what I read. I did a little bit of research, not as much as anyone else. So just my instinct is, I guess, when I just hear other people saying, well, do what the police say and you won't get hurt. Well, George Floyd did that and he's dead and he didn't even have a gun.
Yeah. Also, again,
he complied.
We've seen several videos of white people not doing what the police say and nothing happened to them.
Yeah.
So I agree. Yes. You should comply with the police.
Well, yeah, but you and me, it would be safe to do because our skin is white.
So, and it just comes down to comply or die, right?
Right.
So if you don't do what they say, then you're dead. Mm-hmm. And, I mean,
but even then, if you do, it's pretty much die or die for like black people right now.
Yeah. I mean,
just from what I've seen, and I let a lot of things, emotionally, I guess, when I hear things, I instantly go, what the like, why did they shoot this guy? He's unarmed. They shot him 7 times and there were multiple cops around. I remember seeing the picture of, one guy was literally looking at him with a gun, and I didn't know that there were multiple. I don't know the situation. I probably should have done that before we started talking about it, but
it doesn't matter though.
Yeah.
Don't, the situation doesn't matter because,
he had an AK and they didn't shoot him.
Yeah.
That pisses me off. That makes no sense to me. Why? We keep saying the same thing over and over again, but basically, guys, to me, and it should be to you, and I know to Colton, Black lives absolutely matter at this point. It should have a long time ago. And I'm not going to sit here and go, well, Black lives matter, but also everyone's life should matter. So that's not what we're here for.
But also, no shit.
Yeah, like duh. Human lives matter. Is that a thing? Animals' lives matter. Whatever. But right now, Black lives matter, and that is what we need to stick together for.
Well, and it doesn't just Black Lives Matter. The only reason why it's Black Lives Matter because clearly it still doesn't seem to sink in. It still doesn't seem to settle in, and we just need to do a better job of, like, you don't have, just because it's just so frustrating because it just seems like common sense.
Yeah.
It seems like stop making excuses and let's try to do something. Let's try to be better. And I'm going to slide into kind of something that we talked about before, but like I was born in Oak Cliff, but we moved to Midlothian around the age of like 4 or 5 for me. I was about 4 or 5. Can't remember. But
I grew up in Lancaster and then went to a DeSoto. Well, it was a private school, but yeah, I grew up with black people, Mexican people, Asians, Indians, whatever.
But I moved to Midlothian at a pretty young age, and Midlothian is a predominantly white community.
Right.
And so I was raised around a bunch of other white people. So to be honest, I didn't have the perspective on things, clearly that I do now, but I was not immersed in multiple different cultures. All I really knew is the white Christian culture.
Yeah.
Right. And so I was surrounded by it, and I thought that was what was right. And I thought that was the way. And my parents, great, amazing people, did a great job of raising me. But in a town like that, surrounded by mostly white people, it's difficult to not have some prejudices and racism kind of settle in when it's majority white. And so there were things that I had no idea that I was ignorant about or semi-racist about, and I just had no idea.
Right.
And one of when we were in college, we went to Navarro, which was a local community college there
Still
for 2 years.
Mostly white.
Yeah.
Where we were.
Yeah, we still lived in Midlothian, so it was still mostly white. One of our teachers, Mr. Patterson, we butted heads at times, but one of the
He
things,
was a white guy.
Yeah,
Or still is.
one of the things that he talked to me and a couple other people in the class was we would kind of dabble and talk about our views and our political views and our religious views and stuff like that. And he was like, you guys need to go out into the world and get perspective, because you are living in this small town community, which, all is white Christianity. And you need to question. You need to figure things out on your own. If that's what you truly believe after you go out into the world, then great. At least you figured it out. Like,
right.
Hey, what I initially thought, how I initially saw life is still how I see it today. And at the time I was like, dude, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm relatively open. I'm pretty open-minded and blah, blah, blah. But I'm still like this. I stand firm on these things, blah, blah, blah. Then we moved to UNT for 3 years. We moved up to Denton, and was a complete culture shock. I was surrounded by so many different cultures and ethnicities and races, and there were things that I am ashamed of how I viewed others, because I'd never been around others.
Right.
I had never been consumed or put in the middle of all these different cultures. And when I moved away, I realized, man, some of the ways that I think and my thought process and how I view others is completely flawed. And these other races and cultures, and they're so freaking beautiful. And it's amazing to be surrounded by so many different, it just opened my eyes up, and I started thinking for myself and not just going off of what my parents taught me, which was they just gave me their political views and they're not racist, but they just they fed into me what they believe. Right. And then I was able to go to college and think for my own and kind of open up my mind and question things. And I got to a point where I was willing to say, okay, I was wrong for how I viewed things. I don't know everything when it comes to all these I don't necessarily get it, because I don't see through the eyes of my black brothers and sisters. I don't see through the eyes of my Indian brothers and sisters, my Asian brothers, Mexican, whatever it is. I don't know what it's like to live lives in your shoes and have your skin color. And when I worked at the radio station, I worked with a guy named Lucius Alexander, and there was a police brutality case that was going on at the time. It was about 5 years ago. I don't remember which one it was, but he was extremely upset and frustrated about the whole thing, and I just didn't really get it. I was like, well, yeah, I mean, and we kind of just sat down and had a conversation, and I was just like, hey, I will never know what it's like to be in your shoes, but can you kind of talk to me in how you view life and how you see things and blah, blah, blah. And he said, he was like, yeah, it's, and we just started talking about everything. And he said, it's not uncommon to wake up in the morning and just be a little nervous and make sure that you're wearing the right clothes, or you don't look like you're a bad person. You don't look like you're a thug or a gangster or whatever, because then you'll be viewed, by a police officer or whoever to be a bad person or a thug or a gangbanger or whatever it is. And, when you have to worry about that on a day-to-day basis because the color of your skin, because I honestly thought racism was dead. When I was even middle school, high school, all that kind of stuff, I was like, oh yeah, slavery ended years ago.
Yeah, we all drink from the same water fountains. Yeah, because that
Yeah.
was like the biggest thing. Was like I remember hearing about they had separate schools and separate things. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
we're good now.
After Martin Luther King, he did his thing and he revolutionized civil rights and for the black community, and really from there I just thought, okay, we're all equal. But it's still to this day 2020, and we're still seemingly not all equal, and we're not viewed as equal, and that blows my mind because I'm like, huh?
Yeah,
That doesn't make any sense. Like, we should be better than this.
isn't it crazy that you and I don't have to worry about what we wear affecting what other people think about us? Like, you and I can go out in we'll look redneck, I guess, but like if we go out in sweats, stained sweats, and like wife beater or whatever, we're gonna be treated like a normal person. But like if a black guy does that or a black girl does that, they get judged so hard. Like and I've heard this too from some of the worst people I've ever talked to. But so I grew up the same kind of thing with Colton, Christian based household. My parents are divorced, but I mean that's pretty much, they basically grew up that way. But clearly white, from the South. It's not the, I don't know. I've said that I'm from the South, and when I say I'm from Texas, they're like, well, that's not the South. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, if you look at a compass, Texas is South, right? So I guess they mean like Alabama, Mississippi.
But
whatever.
I mean, Texas was a part of the Confederate States.
Yeah. So the South was like wanting to keep slavery. Is that what it is? For sake. Okay. Yeah. So with that, I grew up, but I always, and I'm not saying that I'm better than you or anything. I'm trying not to. But clearly I am. No. I always questioned from a young age what religion was. Like, is God even real? Is when other people talked about Buddha, whenever there are so many religions, right? And why is it that just because I grew up thinking that God is real, Christianity is real, why is that what it is? And when someone questions like, hey, I have a different God, these are my beliefs, I speak this language, whatever, like, we hear so often that, look, this English is the language. Well, I guess that's in this country or whatever, but I hate when someone goes, you know what, they're in America, they should speak English. Shut the fuck up, you racist piece of shit. And that, I tried not to cuss, and we've made it like 43 minutes, and I did well up until now because I'm about to get on it.
You've cussed a few times.
I mean, yeah, but not this much. So, like, anyway, I'm going to get distracted again, but that, like, whenever you said the thing about you have to worry about how you look, you have to worry about how you walk, you have to worry about what you say, and you have to, literally what you're wearing and what color to wear or whatever, that is so scary. Like, I don't have to put up with that. I can go out literally, and I mean, I have to wear clothing, I guess, but even then, if I go out in the nude, am I going to get people? Well, they might, because it's kind of disgusting to look at, but I don't really know where I was going with it, but I just think that if your skin is white, that you should do everything in your power to help the people with different color skin than you, especially black people at this point. And I think I said to one of my friends once, he's black or something, like, dude, you can't say that. I'm like, he is black. I'm white. I'm not going to get mad at anyone for calling me white. But I don't go, hey, this is my black friend. I think that's a little much when people say stuff like that. But whenever you say that Black Lives Matter, we need to empower that word, really. We don't need to make it a bad word. I mean, clearly the N word is a horrible word. And then the whole thing with blackface, like that. And on this, I feel stupid because I didn't know that blackface was racist. And I, like, whenever, I mean, this was, back when we were kids or whatever, when kids would dress up as, like, historical figures or whatever. And if the person was black and they would do blackface, I was like, well, that's really cool. They went all out for the costume. But learning the history about it, it is the most racist thing I have ever seen and ever heard. And I used to laugh it off like, that's not racist. It doesn't matter. But like, it is very racist. And I think another thing too, really quickly before you take over, because you're much better at speaking than me. Well, I just lost it. Shit. I'm sorry, I forgot. And yeah, so take over for a second, and then I'll come back to it.
Well, I was just gonna say, be open. Wait, what were you gonna say?
I got it. So it's hard to know what is right and what is wrong, but right now, and I guess this is what it is. It's like, I have my opinion. Colton has his opinion. You have your opinion. Now, sometimes when you hear other facts or other things that people say, it can sway what you're thinking, right? And that is still your own opinion. So form your own opinion. Yep. And my opinion right now is Black Lives Matter. Can we please stop shooting black people? I don't care if you bring up statistics about how many white people have been killed. I don't give a shit about that right now. All that matters to me right now is that Black Lives Matter, and we need to do something to change it. Now, that is my opinion. You can yell at me all you want. You can type that I'm a bigot or whatever the hell, or racist, but I just want you to know that that's my opinion. You have your opinion. And although I may think your opinion is wrong, it's right to you. Although, and vice versa. I'll mess up the word somehow, but I just want you to know that I think as a community, as a group, as a human race, we just need to love one another, kiss one another, do other things with one another, whatever, right?
And I
hate everybody, but I also love them at the same time. I don't really know if that makes any sense, but
yeah. There are times where I hate the whole world and I hate every single person, including myself. Mm-hmm. So it's understandable. But so I think it's just extremely important. And I'm not saying that I'm a better person than anyone else, but I think one thing that I have learned to do better is accept when I am wrong, and accept when I was thinking something that was ignorant or just plain out not right. Just because I have this view or I've seen life this way for so long doesn't mean that I just think it's really important for people to go, you know what? You're right. I don't know what it's like to live in your shoes. I don't know what it's like and it's on the same side. I don't know what it's like, the pressures of what it's like to be a police officer. But we need to make it even all the way across the board, no matter what the race is. There have been, like I said, there have been not plenty of times, but there have been times where I really thought that the way that I thought was the correct way. And then hearing other people and hearing what's gone on and all that kind of stuff, I was like, you know what? Like, maybe I don't have it all figured out. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one thing that I have a lot of friends and people that are close to me that are not willing to admit when they're wrong. They're going to stick to what they believe. They're going to stay in their corner no matter what, no matter if there's a black person that's pleading and saying, dude, I'm scared every single day because what's going on in the world and the media and all this kind of stuff, the way that police handle situations with black people, it scares me. And those people are still like, no, you're still wrong. And I support Blue Lives Matter, and that's it. And that's what I stand behind 100%. There are just going to be some people that you're not going to be able to budge and touch, and that's unfortunate. But
how many black people say Blue Lives Matter?
I don't know.
I'm sure there's exceptions, but
yeah. And hey, here's again, we've said this a billion times, but I feel like I need to constantly say it. Police officers' lives do matter, but everyone's lives matter. And they, again, chose that profession.
Even that can be viewed as racist, which is a little upsetting if you say all lives matter. But
well, I'm not saying yes, clearly all of our lives matter, but Black lives matter.
Yeah.
So all lives don't matter until Black lives matter.
Yeah.
And currently we're still a ways away from it. And I'm glad that people in high places, celebrities, athletes are using their platform to talk about it. I hope that I don't lose any friends in the process of making this video. But honestly, if I lose you because I speak what I know to be true and I know to be right and stand up for what I know to be right, if I lose you, then I guess our friendship was relatively surface level anyways.
Yeah.
And I guess I don't necessarily need you. And again, I think one thing that's difficult is it's okay to disagree on things, but we need to come together. Mm-hmm. If you
come together and disagree.
Yeah.
I know it's
okay to not see things through the same lens, but let's come together and help. Like when someone's down, let's help them up. Mm-hmm. And clearly the Black community is down. Let's help them up.
They've been down for a long time. And I think that's, I mean, how, I don't think I can say anything that I haven't said, but you think they're probably tired of getting shot and just not, I don't know, not being viewed as equal is what it is. And I think just the difference between black and white is like, well, the Black Lives Matter and everything, but like black and white right now is it's such a hot button issue that if I go one way, then these people are going to hate me. If I go this way, these people are going to hate me. And I see it a lot. And we can go into this other hot button issue, but it's like the thing, and I've spoken out about this, but the abortion law, we don't have to go into that, but I know that's a tough one, but like in my own opinion, if you don't have a vagina or a uterus, I don't think you have a vote on what should happen with a female's body.
Yeah.
So you know what? Honestly, I think I'm going to lose a lot of people. You didn't say anything. You don't have to. But I've said this on Facebook, and I remember one of the funniest things was I remember looking at my how many friends I had on Facebook or whatever, and I remember it was like around 850. It's not a brag, but I'm very popular.
Damn.
I remember seeing like around 850, and then when I went back after I posted that, I had 831.
Good. If they can't handle your
and guess what?
Opinion
I have
or
no idea who it was.
Who cares? Then?
And honestly, who gives a shit? And look, if we have differing opinions, I have a very close friend of mine that I just talked to about this the other day. Actually, well, there's a couple, but there's one that stuck out to me, and we both said before we had this conversation, "Hey, this is my opinion. You have your opinion. This is why we don't talk about this stuff.
Yep.
Is because I value your friendship way more than your opinion on what your favorite ice cream color is, or ice cream flavor is, or whatever." And so I think that's just what it boils down to is, can you be an adult about things? Can you be a human about things and accept people for who they are, no matter what color their skin?
Yeah. And,
or religion or whatever.
Like
it's like race, religion, those are kind of two big ones. Political views. Mm-hmm. That will kill a friendship or a family in an instant.
Oh yeah.
So that's why I keep it about immature things like penises and butts.
If a lot of my family members watch this video, they're probably not going to be super happy with what I'm talking about. But
same with mine.
It is what it is. And okay, so one of the tests to see, and I know a lot of people are not going to admit it, because no one wants to be viewed as racist. Mm-hmm. But if you are in a situation where it's just you and another person, and that person is a white person, and then you're in that same situation and that person is a black person, and you look or view the situation any differently because of who is in there, then that tells you all you need to know about whether or not racism still exists. If you are running down the street and you're running past a white person and you have no fear of, is this guy gonna at any instant, jump up and strangle me, tackle me, try to molest me or whatever. If you just don't think anything about it, and you just, hey, and keep on going, and then you pass someone who is black, and you think,
where's my keys, wallet, phone?
I just need to make sure when he runs past me, I need to make sure that he doesn't just turn right back around. If those thoughts are going through your head, it doesn't make you a bad person. It means that you need to continue to work on how you view people, and you don't just judge them off the color of their skin. Again, we're all work in progresses, so we're not going to be perfect. And so we're always going to have, I think it's just going to be difficult period to not have any sort of prejudices or any sort of stereotypes, looking at someone through a stereotype. It's just a hard period because you're like, well, most 5'8" people are assholes, and so when they walk up to me, they're like, dude, I don't even need to talk to you. I already know that you're an a-hole.
I mean, I have living proof every day.
I know, but it's just like,
clearly I don't think that all 5'8" people are assholes.
Yeah,
just one.
We need to just adjust the way that we view people and view the world, and be okay with continuing to work on yourself. I'm not a finished product. There are ways that I think, there are views that I have that probably need to be adjusted, and I need to be more open and learn. But let's continue to have, it's okay to have these conversations. Don't be aggressive with it.
Yeah.
You don't have to come at someone's throat. But if you have a differing opinion on some of this stuff, if you come up to me and are like, hey, I'd like to talk to you about it. I don't necessarily agree, but I also want to hear more of what you have to say. Then I'd be like, dude, let's talk. Let's have a conversation. Let's work on this. And at the end of the day, we're not all going to have the same opinion. And after the end of that conversation, we probably still won't have the same opinion. But I think we all need to just be open to listen to others. And dude, that's about it.
I remember hearing, when I first heard the phrase, let's agree to disagree, I had no idea what that meant.
Yeah.
And now that I hear it, I think it's such a strong thing to use, because there are so many people who disagree with me, but if we agree to disagree, we can move on from it and have a drink together.
And one more thing.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm getting, dude. I can keep going.
One thing that I don't think there should be any disagreement on.
Oh boy,
is
here we go.
That we all need to be treated the same.
Oh,
no matter what your skin color is. So if there's a situation with a white person and there's a situation with the black person, it needs to be handled same universally all across the board.
Yeah.
We don't need to, our police officers don't need to be pulling over vehicles because they see a group of black people in the car and they think that looks suspicious because 5 black 20-year-olds are all in the car together. Mm-hmm. If there was a group of white people and they were in the car together, would you be pulling that car over as well? It needs to be universal. We're all humans. We all need to be treated the same. Each situation needs to be the same. No matter what the color of your skin is. That is something that I can't be okay with disagreeing on. If you disagree with me on that, I'm not okay with that.
Like if someone says, yeah, exactly. If someone says, like, I think that black people. Well, what is the it was the 3/5 compromise thing. It's like their vote was worth 3/5 of a vote. What the?
Yeah.
I mean, I know that was like actually, I don't know when that was, but I know it wasn't very recent, but
Yeah,
equal. Why not be 5/5?
Yeah.
Or, one, but
Yeah.
1/1 of a vote. Yeah. Anyway, you know what? I can't wait to see how many people get upset about.
I'm not excited about it.
This episode.
Honestly, I'm not excited about it because I'm a people pleaser and I don't want to piss anyone off. Yeah. But I'm
See,
also standing. But I'm standing up for, and I'm talking about something that I believe in, and we need to make sure that we're united with our brothers and sisters, no matter what their skin color is, and especially our black brothers and sisters right now. We're here with you. You're not alone. What can we do to help?
Yeah.
How can we? You're not alone. We're standing with you. We're by your side.
Yep.
Let's be allies and let's come up with a solution. Let's live together in peace and harmony.
Peace, love, harmony.
Yeah.
Isn't that what it is? Wasn't that the thing from the 70s? Peace, love. Well, I mean, clearly you and I weren't alive, but I feel like I remember seeing that. Anyway, guys, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Look, you know what? This is going to be the last thing I say, and then I'm turning it off, but let's agree to disagree.
There you
go. I love you.
Love y'all.
But I also hate you.
I still love you.
Yeah, okay. Let's keep it equal, guys. Black Lives Matter.